the men to cheat. You picked John Kramer?
Spooky month is here, and what better way to start off the month than to watch some people get ripped apart. Saw 10. I can't believe we got 10 movies from this franchise. I will be talking about the movie, so there will be spoilers. John f***ing Kramer is back. It seems like we can't get away from him. Don't get me wrong, I love Tobin Bell. He does a fantastic job, and still got it since Jigsaw. That's 6 years. God, I'm old. Saw 10 takes place between Saw 1 and 2. We followed Kramer getting scans for his brain cancer. He joins a cancer support group. He starts to get his affairs in order because he only has months to live. Until he sees a fellow support member, Henry. Henry went from looking like death to a healthy person, even showing the scar to show he had surgery. Henry tells John that Dr. Cecilia has cured his cancer. Later in the movie, John calls Cecilia and they agree to meet up. Cecilia has John fly out to Mexico, where they will conduct his operation. John is picked up by a taxi driver, Diego. Diego drives John to meet with Cecilia and her team. Her team consists of Mateo, Valentina, and Dr. Cortez. There is also a young woman named Gabriela. Gabriela was cured by Cecilia. There is also one more patient that was cured by Cecilia, Parker Sears. He just got out of surgery. Right before surgery, John meets Carlos, a small boy who loves playing soccer. Carlos is trying to fix his bike, and John helps him. It's finally time for John to go into surgery. John is in and out of consciousness during the surgery. He sees a reflection what they are doing to his brain. Dr. Cortez tells Valentina to move the screen so John doesn't see. They put John under and he wakes in bed. Cecilia greets John and tells him he is cancer-free now, that he has his whole life ahead of him. John wants to repay Gabriela's kindness by buying her a bottle of tequila, but returning to the house, everything is abandoned and he finds out that the whole surgery was a scam. They never performed surgery on his head. It was only a videotape on brain surgery. John isn't too happy about this. Instead of drinking a margarita and relaxing on the beach, he decides that the game is back on. He first kidnaps Diego. John knows that Diego was Dr. Cortez in disguise. Diego's trap is that he has 2 pipe bombs attached to his forearms. He has to cut through his flesh in order to save himself. Diego manages to survive and he tells John who was all involved in the scam. John calls in for help from his 2 apprentices. Hoffman tracks down where Cecilia and her team are, while Amanda kidnaps them. The Pig family is back. Cecilia and her team wake up. They are at the clinic where they fake the surgery. John and Amanda greet them, and the game can finally begin. First up is Valentina. Her trap is the bone marrow trap. She has to cut off her leg using a giggly saw wire and use a suction device to suck enough marrow to free herself. She only has 3 minutes to complete this. Valentina is able to cut her leg off and use the suction device. But just as the needle was close to reaching the goal, she runs out of time and is decapitated. Cecilia is able to grab her phone and call for help, but Amanda shocks her and takes the phone. They get ready for the next trap. Mateo is up next, but before that, they can hear angry knocking coming from outside. It's Parker. Parker breaks in and is knocked out by Amanda. When he comes to, he tells John that he just wants his money back. John tells him that he'll have to wait until the game is over. Mateo's trap is the brain surgery trap. He has to drill into his skull and cut out a piece of his brain, put it into acid to get a key to free himself. Mateo is able to get a piece of his brain, but the needle is moving so slow. He runs out of time. Both sides of the trap heats up and close shut on his face, forming a mask of the Mexican statue John saw earlier in the film. This leaves Gabriela and Cecilia left. Gabriela's trap is the radiation therapy trap. Gabriela is chained by her arm and foot and is lifted in the air. The radiation machine is faced towards her. She must break her arm and foot to free herself. She is able to get her foot free and away from the radiation beam, thinking she is safe. But the machine turns in her direction. She is able to free her arm, and she survives her trap, with burns on her face that need medical attention. John and Amanda are about to send Gabriela to the hospital until Parker holds both of them at gunpoint and he demands them to free Cecilia. After being free, Cecilia steps on Gabriella's neck and breaks it. Cecilia and Parker force John and Amanda to lock themselves in chains. Cecilia brings Carlos into the room. Carlos was playing soccer outside the building. She forces John and Carlos to play the last game, the blood waterboarding trap. Both are tied down on the floor, and both have a lever to pull. Doing so will ascend the person and stop blood from drowning them. John tells Carlos to not pull the lever. He will sacrifice himself for Carlos. Carlos, realizing what's happening, pulls the lever. Both are trying to save the other. While they're doing this, Cecilia and Parker go looking for the money. This activates the final trap, the burning gas chamber trap. While John, Carlos, and Amanda free themselves, Cecilia and Parker are trapped in the room where John has been watching the game. The room fills with burning gas, and there is only one hole in the wall where they can put their head in to breathe clean air. If you're wondering how John was a step ahead of them, well, if you remember Diego, he told John everyone that was involved, including Parker. When Cecilia made her phone call for help, Amanda saw that she had called Parker. John knew the entire time and just acted, letting himself be put in a trap and just waited for things to play out. Cecilia and Parker fight to the death. Cecilia manages to overpower Parker and quickly pokes her head out of the wall. John, Amanda, and Carlos make eye contact with Cecilia before leaving her to her fate. Even though she isn't shown to die, she's forever trapped in the room, probably to starve to death or take her own life with the gas. But who knows, maybe she could come back in another movie. You never know with this series. Oh, and the money was given to Carlos, where he spent it all on V-Bucks. There is one more trap as a post-credit. Marvel movies have done irreversible damage to the movies. Anyways, the last trap is the scar tissue trap. Turns out Henry was also in on the scam. His scar from the beginning of the movie was fake. John is also joined with a familiar face, Detective Mark Hoffman. And the movie ends. We don't even get to see how the trap works. And that was Saw 10. Honestly, it felt like a slow movie, but in a good way. They really wanted to flesh out John's character, and I think they did a good job with it. It's nice seeing the Pig family back in action, but damn, is everyone getting older. It's just funny to me that if you want to watch this in chronological order, you'll have to watch Saw 1, 10, then 2. Now I bet you're thinking, hey Prince, you forgot about the eyeball trap. Oh, Prince done fucked up. No, I didn't. So this trap, you know, the one that is the movie poster and that looks like the guy from Outlast? Well, at the beginning of the movie, a janitor is caught by John stealing from a sleeping patient. John puts him in the eyeball vacuum trap. All he has to do is to turn the dial 5 times to avoid his eyes being sucked out of his head. But every time he turns the dial, his fingers will be snapped backwards. The janitor isn't able to do this in time, and he has his eyes ripped out. But turns out it was just a daydream that John was having. A little fake out. I was a little annoyed, but at the same time, I don't think this was done before, unless you count the trap dream Jill had in Saw the final chapter. But that movie sucks, and I don't want to talk about it. Amanda really shined in this movie for me. We can really see her relationship with John, a father-daughter type relationship, a mentor that she really respects. She cries at the thought of losing John, leaving her alone to do these traps herself. She worries that she isn't ready, but John tries to reassure her that she needs to be strong and that she is ready. Gabriella is also important to Amanda. Gabriella is a drug user, and Amanda understands her pain, but John disagrees, and that Gabriella can overcome her addiction.
Drugs are as vicious as they are powerful.
We all have free will. Gabriella had her own free will.
When Gabriella is killed later in the movie, I believe this is where Amanda snapped. I feel like in this movie, Amanda was trying to help the players win their games, but seeing Gabriella get killed off, she realizes that none of them should win their games, and makes her traps unwinnable. I could be wrong since she kills Adam from Saw 1, but we don't know when she went back to kill him. Maybe after the events of Saw 10, but this is just my theory. Again. One other thing that I have a problem with this movie is when John is put in the blood waterboarding trap. We as the audience know that John dies in Saw 3 when Jeff slices his throat, so there really wasn't any high stakes in this movie for me. I knew John was gonna make it. Also, how did Cecilia know about the Jigsaw killer if this takes place a few months after the first movie? I know the media in the first movie gave John the name the Jigsaw killer, so it would be in the news, but would it already be worldwide at this point? Maybe the crime was so horrific like serial killers that they immediately spread the word. I don't think Cecilia's from the States, but I could be wrong. Maybe she heard from other patients she scammed. I will say that when the twist came, I was impressed, mainly because I was waiting for it the moment Cecilia thought she had the upper hand on John. Cecilia's actress did a great job on being so evil and smug about outsmarting John, that when she was trapped, it was really satisfying. Now, if I had to be put in one of these traps, I would do the eyeball vacuum trap. I'll just flip the dial to 5 right away and pass out from the pain. A lot of these traps seem very brutal. Maybe Amanda or Hoffman came up with the designs. That, or maybe John was just pissed that he wasn't actually cured. I was squeamish with the bone marrow and brain surgery trap. If I had to rate this movie, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I think Saw fans will be happy with this movie. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Also share the video. Anything helps and I do appreciate it. Sorry for the lack of uploads. I've hit a creative wall, but I'm slowly getting back into it. Plus I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. But with that, I hope you guys have a spooky October, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh man, I really don't feel like going to work tomorrow. Okay, fine.